And we are live. Welcome. This is Hex Foodies. We're on Facebook, YouTube. Where else are we, guys? Oh, Telegram. And that's our main chat, Telegram group. Hex just hit a quarter. We're so excited. I'm beside myself, but I knew this was going to happen. What do you guys think about Hex hitting a quarter?
I mean, same thing. If you understand what HEX is, this is still just the beginning. We're still early. It's crazy. I don't think people realize how amazing this is. We are going to replace Bitcoin. We are going to replace Ethereum. We're doing it all. We're following the same track. So we're still in year 2. It's a really exciting space to be for me. And I think we're going to see a lot more gains this year, for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. Pre-viral, 25 cents is just a step in a small, very large green candle that we'll be seeing here pretty soon.
So I've got the map up. I wanted to share with you guys what I did this weekend. Let's see if I can go to that screen. So I drove from Central Texas, Austin area, and I drove up to Waco and then over towards Nacogdoches, but I didn't make it to Nacogdoches. Instead, I made it to Alto, and just south of Alto, there's some old Indian mounds in this area because of the Caddo Indians that were in this area. That I believe they did similar things to those Indians who were in thatch round houses that that settled in the Mississippi area. And so me and Togo, who has done the hexstreamers.com website, he's from north of here. And so we met in this area and we camped one night, and then we just went our separate ways after breakfast. But I just wanted to go with my newfound wealth. I wanted to go and see what areas of Texas I hadn't fully seen because I'm like a kid in a candy store searching for land right now. I know that Hex Dragon probably has like some better ways of going about, or some best ways of going about seeking out, the future of a Hexican. And so I wonder what would be the best advice for a Hexican who is methodically planning out the next portion of their life. Say they're a high school student, and say they're at the end of their they're approaching their senior semester. And so what would be the advice that Hex foodies, Hexicans who have thought about this sort of thing, what would be the advice for the next step for these people's lives? Because things that I've thought about is go live with a family member who is already farming and witness a different type of lifestyle. Like if you're living in the cities, if you're living in the suburbs, if you're living in the rural area. If you're living in the rural area, maybe you would want to go find a commune of some sort and witness being a part of a whole, and almost like being a drone bee, where you have no say immediately and just submit yourself to a situation and figure out what you like and what you don't like. I know that Hex Dragon has a lot to say about this. I know that Empty Plane, who has joined us on a few live streams, he would say something to the effect of like, come talk to him personally, because and I'm sorry to talk about him with him not being here, but he sort of is thinking like he needs to be the center making decisions. And I'm not going to speak for Hex Dragon's point of view, but I believe I'm not going to speak from Hex Dragon's point of view. Go Hex Dragon, go.
Sure. So first question, though, for a little more context. Does this 18-year-old have wealth or not?
This 18-year-old has $1 million worth of HEX by Christmas.
Okay. So I'll lay out what I would recommend for somebody who has $1 million HEX and somebody who has no money. Because I spent the past decade learning how to live without money and how to be wealthy without money. And the realization there is that we can do most things you can do for free. You just have to have the cojones to ask for an alternative way of doing it. So the most important thing you do for your development, if you haven't already, is travel. To get exposed to different cultures and see what and learn. Go into the spaces. I want to learn. I want to explore, see what other people are doing, how they're living, and you'll be really surprised at the similarities that you'll find in different cultures, but also some differences that will challenge your belief system and hopefully upgrade you. So what the world is facing right now is we are living in artificial scarcity, and we're creating true scarcity through our actions. And there's of course a movement to combat this and to heal or regenerate the landscape. So I think that before going to college, I would advise against college entirely. You really don't need college for almost anything anymore. It's a system of enslavement. And you can learn everything you need for free, including from accredited universities, which will give you certificates that many employers will actually recognize as having taken college courses. They understand that the ability to self-learn is way more valuable than having a piece of paper that you paid for. That's always true, but in general. So I would encourage you, if you had any college money saved, to use that to travel. Travel the world for a year. Do hostels, join hostels, which are very inexpensive places where you're going to meet younger people who are also traveling, and they're from all over the world. So you're going to make friends from all over, and these are just people you're going to become more outgoing, learn a lot of social skills. I would encourage you to join woofing, where you can travel different organic farms around the world, stay for free. Maybe even get paid a little bit, probably not, but you'll get free food and you'll learn. You're going to learn about the different ways in which people are farming and be really open to the differences and recognize that a lot of stuff's old paradigm and it's degenerative. So you need to get good at differentiating between a system that is creating abundance and a system that's creating scarcity. And hopefully through your travels, you'll start learning how to create abundance in your life. Because abundance doesn't just come from money. In fact, it's the worst way to attain true abundance. It's the least secure, I should say. Because our monetary system goes down, you don't have abundance. But if you have acquired degenerated land and you're regenerating it, every year is producing more and more. And its value is going up and up. No matter what happens to dollars, food will always be valuable. It will allow you to get through economic transitions. And we are facing economic transitions now. From fiat to crypto is possible, but also we don't know when any of our government currencies are going to collapse. So recognizing that the powers that be are intentionally creating scarcity as a method to create more debt slaves can be very easily combated by learning how to create your own abundance. But part of that is, again, your social wealth. You don't have to have money to create abundance. You just need to have relationships. So you can discover communities around the world that you can freely enter, and you can help out, and you can do work trade, you can be paid for your work, but focus on a sustainable lifestyle, which will be invaluable to you in your development. The last piece I'll say is that if you've gone through the American school system or any Prussian school system, you have been trained to have a very large ego or very broken ego, depending on how well you did in school. You're taught to think that there's one way of doing things. You're taught to think very linearly and look to authority. So you're going to learn how to think for yourself. You're going to be humbled a lot. I always seek the new time in which my belief system is transformed. I used to believe in technocracy as like that as the future, and then I discovered regeneration, and I had to let that go, but I reject it, which many people do. So be open to different belief systems to grow, because you've been taught one that is basically made for you to be a servant to others, and that's not the only way to live. But you won't discover those with a closed mind.
Man, you really bring it to the table. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Something that stood out to me is you're saying to travel. We need to recognize what is planned obsolescence. You know, we need to have an understanding of the mechanics that we need to get around. Everybody thinks about acquiring tools in order to have their own capabilities and offering something of value to other people. I think that understanding the quality of tools, like I'm talking about an automobile, and understanding that and understanding communication skills through your traveling. These things will be forced upon you. What do you think, Rogue?
Yeah, totally. I'm on board with everything that's been said. Some of the specifics that Hex Dragon's talking about may apply a little bit more to, say, the 18-year-old hypothetical, where you have the time to travel, and regardless of resources, whether you have monetary or whether you have the $1 million worth of Hex at the time, there's also, sorry, $1 million worth of Hex in money. You may not have the time, depending on where you're at in your life. Along the what you're talking about with the conditioning that we've received growing up is totally true. I agree with that. And there's a movement called unschooling that is really important for anybody getting into this, to kind of deprogram or deschool or unschool from the current situation of government schools and programming, to kind of follow and learn. So that was really helpful for me, is getting into that, stepping back from the matrix and seeing what really is going on. So that is key right there, regardless of your age or your resources or anything like that. So if it's a situation where you're coming into a lot of wealth with Hex, and you have kids or a family, you may not be able to travel, but you can still be open-minded. So there's going to be things on the internet. There's going to be things on YouTube to learn about the various ways of growing that Hex Dragon and you're talking about. There's going to be all kinds of learning of things that you can do without having to travel. Travel would be great. I'd love to be able to do that. Hex can give me and others the ability to do that, where we're not caught up in having a job or being stuck in one location. But with the situation we have now, where the scarcity mindset and the limitations and a control mindset out there with government, there's a lot of restrictions right now. So even travel is becoming hard, regardless of your age. And that becomes difficult, because if you're not able to travel and get out and meet different groups, and the restrictions, no matter how much money you have, you're not going to be able to move without papers or without an authority stepping in and saying, hey, you can move to this location, or you can go here with our permission. So that's going to be a little bit more difficult in the future. So some advice I would give is take some of that wealth and plan ahead. So plan for resources. The skills of learning how to grow things are great, but also you may need something to plan ahead for fuel, or you may need to have the skills or the food storage that you might need to get through certain hard times, depending on what's upcoming. So plan ahead would be one of the advice I would give for someone that has the money now, to not just say, oh, even though we do want to have the mindset to hold and conserve and put off gratification. There may be times where we say, I'm going to take a little bit of this resource and put it into another one for future planning as well. So not just monetary. And all these are really extensive topics that each one individually we could drill down into and really talk about for a whole stream on each on their own. But I guess overall, that's kind of what I'm saying.
Go for it, Dragon.
Yeah, so I love that you brought up the unschooling movement. I encourage everybody to do a quick look for what it is. Basically, in summation, though, it's spending time doing nothing. You will take 6 months to 3 years of just doing nothing, which is actually like healing your psyche and deconditioning yourself. And the purpose of it is to self-actualize, to discover your passion, what you really want to do with your life, and that will then become the fuel for everything you need. Instead of working for money, you're working for your purpose. It's a really powerful place to be. You become unstoppable, become super creative. You become a genius at what you're interested in. On the topic of genius, everyone's actually able to be a genius. Your ability to learn is based on your natural interest. So if you're interested in a topic, you'll learn really quickly. Great example, the kids flunking out of school who likes Pokemon or whatever the game is, or baseball, any of those sports, they had everything memorized like a savant, yet they're failing. But it's because they are interested in what they're savant in and not interested in the other stuff. So if we can take the time to discover what we're interested in, our life will become a lot smoother. We'll learn much faster, and you'll come across as a genius, and you'll just be much happier. The one thing I want to add, though, is there is a mindset Rogue hinted that he's in, which is, well, I can't do these things because I have a family or I have a job or whatever. Those are imposed restrictions that are meant to shackle us. But I know for a fact it is possible with no money to have families move around. It's not as easy as an individual, but the thought process is very similar. It might feel irresponsible because you're like, I don't know where our next meal is going to come from. But you absolutely have a social network. When you're tapping into your true wealth, it will be possible to do many of those things. It won't necessarily be comfortable first, and that's a lot of where tapping into trusting the universe, but also having really knowing what relationships to keep and ones to cut. I'll pass this a second, but social intelligence is a skill that is great in society. I recommend the book, actually, Social Intelligence. I'll list the author or the book into chat in a little bit. But in it, one of the comments, or one of the things that's in there is our emotions are as contagious as viruses. So if you have toxic people in your life, they are literally poisoning you. You will die younger if you have toxic relationships in your life. They are literally that unhealthy for you. So knowing how to identify toxic relationships is very important for your health, well-being, and trust. And again, we need a network of people to support us as we travel around for building community and all of that. So you have to be able to identify which people are good or not. So if somebody doesn't feel right to you, just cut them out of your life. There's billions of people out there. As soon as you cut one person out, somebody else will come in. You're never going to have a lack of people wanting to be in your life. You'll just have a limited capacity for them. So make sure that you have the best people possible in your life, and you'll attract the best people possible by being the best version of yourself.
Really quick, let me interject, and then I'll give it to Rogue. Somebody once told me that you have only a limited amount of time to interact with people in your life. And so, like, imagine these people being the most important people in your life. If you delete one, then you make room for another to come instead. Go Rogue.
I totally love that. That's great. And loving what Hex Dragon is saying, and the idea of really changing the mindset of, okay, I'm limited here, but the sky's the limit if I want to do it. That's perfect. No arguments against that. The difficulty on having a family, as anybody with kids and a wife or a spouse would know, or a partner or whatever, would know that and just like a community, you bring on other people's ideas. So as much as love to travel and go out and do something, there's all these other ideas of here's what we also want, and it, I suppose it becomes a limitation. And I love the idea, the mentality and the mindset that you're talking about is you can do things regardless of what limitations you think are placed upon you, and that the system is what's limiting you, or the conditioning is what's limiting to you. I love that. And there's always some unique dynamic with a community or with a family, and the family is the smallest unit of the community. And so I certainly stand corrected that even though I have a family, or someone might have a family, that's certainly not a limitation to doing all these things, age or family or anything like that. So agree. And there could be all kinds of things that we may have to factor in as well.
So I'm trying to curate the live stream here, and so it's my first time at this new layout of timing, and so I've already screwed it up. But I would like for us to do introductions really quickly. Can you tell us where you are, Rogue? And like, why are you outside? You're a family man. Can you tell us just a little bit about yourself, and then you, Dragon, afterwards, and then I'll tell everybody. I guess I'll tell everybody right now. I'm a suburban grown and raised boy, and I went to school for architecture, and I took on learning permaculture afterwards. Go, Rogue.
So I am outside because this is my yard, and it's nice to take a break. I know that right behind me, so you have some stinging nettle, Urtica dioica, and you have some elderberry and different plants, and it's always nice to get out and be outside. I try and take a break when I can. Family man, yeah, I suppose that's whatever that definition is. I am married with kids, a lot of kids, too many to count sometimes, I think. I also come from a big family as well, and had worked in the tech industry for a long time, been into crypto for a while, and was introduced by HEX Vision to HEX, and that's just taken off, and an opportunity to retire maybe in the future. But I still love the technology side of things. But in the meantime, while in technology, I've just realized the matrix system of it, and the being caught in a cubicle and the rat race in which it was. And years ago, I thought, my real love is being outside and being with nature. And I've tried to get into that. And so unconventionally, I've tried to get into herbalism and growing things and permaculture. So that's a little background on me.
All right. Well, I'm a Hex Dragon 5555. I'm a Renaissance man. I have done a little of everything in my life. I've been a serial entrepreneur since I was a kid. An inventor, a builder, a gardener. I've gone to university for more than a decade. Traveled the world. Self-millionaire 3 times over. Philanthropist. I like to do it all. I'm not really an expert in the area, but that lets me think in systems really well and connect people and see big picture stuff. So I can talk about a lot of subjects knowledgeably, and that allows me to take on leadership roles well. So I can I can communicate well with other people who are experts, and then kind of bridge the different communication styles that exist. My purpose is to be a catalyst of regeneration for the planet and for our relationships. So community is at the forefront of my thought on how I can start reconnecting us to each other, and also having us step back into our natural born role of being stewards of nature, which most of us have been disconnected from.
You said you're a self-made millionaire 3 times?
Yes. So the first one was when I was 14. I was one of the first account brokers for the game EverQuest. I buy and sell EverQuest accounts, sell items, and all that kind of stuff. And I was just doing this after school, making thousands of dollars a day. And my parents did make me stop because they're like, there's no way you can make money more easily than we can. And they refuse to understand it. Then in college, again, I did that with World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 11. And I was able to travel the world while doing this. So I was just flipping accounts, playing all. I wrote bots to play. So I'll apologize to these people who know about bots, who know who are selling accounts. I kind of was one of the pioneers of pay to win. Was very profitable, still is. Then I got into medical cannabis in Michigan. I helped create the movement there and educate people from insurance companies, fire departments, police stations, everybody. It's really complex, but I was one of the top quality growers in the area when it was still really new. I was supplied many different dispensaries. Did really well at that. So I'm now working on my fourth time with HEX, which will probably happen as soon as Pulse launches. So you
said also that that you're really able to see systems. You're able to see systems. How where did you have your grooming to be able to see systems? I mean, besides your natural abilities.
Well, I went to 4 different universities. I was working on becoming a professor in different topics, but I think I got the most out of it from my packaging degree, which is understanding like logistics for how packages and products move around the world. Because in that, you understand where every resource comes from. So you're looking for the resources come out of the ground, how they get to this place, how they're refined, how they go to this place, how then it's packaged, how it moves around. So you see all these different systems at play for how you get anything. Then I was working with the Venus Project and the Zeitgeist Movement from 2011 to 2014. I learned a lot from Jacques Fresco, understanding systems and the idea of a resource-based economy. This is actually when I donated my wealth to Arcosanti, a community I stayed in for a while. Their social system was really messed up. The money was embezzled. A lot of problems with that. But I highly recommend checking it out. Concept for city, it's called Arcology. It's a really beautiful idea for how to design walking cities that are harmonious with the environment. Very healthy places to live, very inspirational. I wouldn't want to live at Arcosanti again necessarily. They built using cement, which is not, it's not sustainable. But you can still learn a lot. Really, really brilliant ideas there. Lots to take away. So yeah, I think systems just come in naturally when you are a Renaissance person, where you're learning about all these different things, how everything works and connects together. And I guess the other person who I would recommend learning from is Ken Wilber. He teaches about consciousness, but one of the more basic things you learn about is this idea called holons. A holon is a part in a whole of something. So we'll use me as an example. I am a human. You can see me. I can be broken up into different parts, like my head, my arm, whatever. Pick my head. Okay, well, my head is made up of a brain. It has a brain inside of it. That's a smaller whole. The brain is made up of different parts also, like your amygdala, cerebral cortex. Those are different parts. You can then break it down into cells or neurons and dendrites. And you can break those down into molecules. Again, they're parts and wholes. Molecules break into atoms. Atoms break into protons, neutrons, electrons. Those break down into small pieces. Likewise, you can go the other way. I am a part of my environment. Environment's part of, you could say, artificial boundaries like the United States, North America, Earth, solar system, Milky Way. You just keep going. So everything is holonic, everything is connected and apart. So when you can see these things, you start seeing full systems. When you understand the interconnectedness of everything. So it's just kind of the natural understanding, but the thought process to get there most efficiently would be reading Ken Wilber's book, A Brief History of Everything. It's astounding work. It'll change how you view the world and consciousness.
Can I ask you to put the social intelligence book in the chat, as well as Ken Wheeler's book in the chat so that I can bring it up on this large screen that's right here. And then I'd like to change the topic just a little bit because we're out of order and everything. Does anybody have current events that are pressing in their mind? Like recently, I just saw a U.S. Marine in front of the camera saying that he resigns or gives away all of his retirement after 17 years of serving the military. He made a video that said, "I want an apology from my superiors," and he didn't get that apology. Instead, he was told he could stay quiet for another 3 years and get his retirement, or else. And then he just pressure came upon him, and he gave up everything. And he says that this is not over. He's saying that against the system that, you know, trained us as public school kids. That would be my current events, because right now HEX is hitting a quarter and 25.5 cents, and I'm loving it in my small sphere. But we're backing out of a 20-year war right now that we, of course, never should have been in. But that's my point of view. Oh, but Rogue Herbalist, you're ex-military.
Yeah, I was deployed over there, not to Afghanistan. So I was the country on the other side of Iran, on the, I guess it's the, depending on where you're at, the west side, Iraq. But there is a good ex-Marine libertarian or anarchist to follow, Adam Kokesh. He may give some good perspectives on that and kind of how some of us veterans view our time in the military and what we're thinking. So it's no surprise that there's a lot of veterans that get out and become disillusioned with the system and with what they thought they were getting into and what's really going on. And as far as current events, I think I've stayed away from a lot of that. Anything that might be affecting me is I certainly try and tune into. So restrictions or mandates by authorities, things like that, I've kept track of. But other than that, I try to avoid any kind of politicizing or news that is out there to kind of divide or scare.
I don't feel like I have any current events that I want to share. Well, no, that's not true. I have one. But it's more of a plug. Anyone who's interested in personal development, we have an awesome workshop coming up in October, 15th through 17th. Feel free to reach out to me. I'll give you a $100 to $200 discount if you do. But it's yeah, I think that everybody who's in my life, so I've mentioned this before, I have a filter. You're giving, you're inspiring, and integrity. That's why I filter people out of my life. And so people who are improving are continuously looking at ways to workshops, all those things. Current events, the only one that really does come to mind is one of Richard Hart's tweets, but I'm hesitant to say it on YouTube for fear of being censored. But my mom messaged me about it, so you can find it. You'll know what I'm talking about. He wants to do some traveling, and she was like, "Oh no, what about Paul? What if something happens to him?" And I thought that was a really valid question. I encouraged her to reach out to him and ask, but she was very hesitant, a little nervous, a little intimidated by him. And I thought that was interesting. I haven't heard any updates from Richard, but he's planning on doing a tour for HEX. And I am curious what the backup plan is. If someone of his importance is traveling and disappears for some amount of time or whatever, because the world is kind of crazy right now, will Pulse continue? So there was a lot of hate coming out of the fact that this person who's doing so much for us all wants to travel. And I personally have mixed feelings about that, because I want the project to be successful. I want to be able to assure my friends everything's going to be great. And I want Richard to be living his best life also. He's already giving so much to our community. Rogue?
I was going to say, I think there's some great things that Richard has announced as well, and with Pulse exchanges, other things that are going to just support Pulse and Hex, the PHEX, everything. I think things are looking pretty good. If there's a concern there, I suppose that it's always wise to maybe say anything can happen, but it looks like there's going to be some great things coming out with Pulse.
Yeah, I'd love to have that as a conversation point too. Actually, I will. I'm going to say something really quick on that. I love the idea of creating a walled garden, and I hope that this walled garden becomes a safe place for newbies. Because right now, crypto is not a safe space. Every exchange is highly dangerous. There's so many scams out there. I hope that we have a way to audit what cryptos enter the garden, and that way it becomes a safe place for people to enter crypto and to start building a positive reputation for crypto, for the community that we're hoping to create. The other thing I'm really loving, by the way, is all these different Hex streamers. Like we have our own network now for diverse content, and it's wonderful. I love seeing what people are doing and hearing these different perspectives.
So I have a little bit of a little bit of current events. One of our own, Hex-Ray Vision, got my physical address, and if you give him your physical address, you can get some stickers, Pulse Chain, and Hex. And so down here at the bottom, you can't see, but in white it says Pulse Chain, and hex.com. So I'm really happy. I don't know where to put these. Like, do I put it on my cell phone? No, Hex is on my cell phone. Do I put it on my wallet? No, Hex is on my wallet. Notebook, there's secrets inside there. I don't know where to. There we go. Water bottle, bicycle.
Also,
maybe, yeah, my car.
Car graffiti. Use it like graffiti or advertising. So you give me a bunch too. So there's like public places you can put stickers, at least in Austin. I mean, we get all kinds of thoughts for that. So it is a great logo. I think Richard is right, and being able to have something that catches the eye was brilliant. So
well, my idea has been to get a magnet. Therefore, like you're slapping it on anything that's metal. It's removable, and I've been playing with designs of QR codes, but hopefully with the virus stuff, people are more familiar with QR cards because they're going into restaurants and they're having to scan their menu. Anyway, I like having it to where there's a destination beyond just the symbol with the QR code.
Mm-hmm.
So would y'all like to progress to the next section?
Sure.
This is where.
Sure.
Go ahead, Rogue. What's
the book you have up? A Brief History of Everything? Is that the one that Hex Dragon had mentioned?
Yes. Is it not? Yeah, A Brief History by Ken Wilber. I thought you were saying Ken Wheeler, who is a YouTuber, but you're saying Ken Wilber. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
So and these books seem to be like paperback and really inexpensive. Probably your local Half Price Books has them. Do y'all have Half Price Books over there, Rogue, in Utah?
There's bookstores or Amazon, I suppose. Is that what this looks like? It's Amazon.
Half Price Books is kind of like a Goodwill
I got
for
you.
books only.
Oh, I see. It's a name. Okay. No, I haven't heard of it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So the next bit of this is we're at 39 minutes right now. Is let's have a little bit of a thought exercise. And so this is just like a random statement or a question. And the certain one is, who is Richard Hart to you? And it kind of spawns off of what we were just talking about with the security of Pulse Chain.
I'll go last.
You're going to go for it, or you're going to pass?
I'll go last.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, that'd be nice while I gather my thoughts.
So who is Richard Hart? It's interesting. I think that when someone is first introduced to Richard, you kind of think, well, you don't know anything about the product or his product, and so you kind of have to take him on personality wise. And he's definitely an OG, candid. He'll tell you how it is, and that can rub people the wrong ways. So I always came from the school of, hey, be nice, be kind, more hippie type love and peace. And so it rubbed me a little bit the wrong way, but I thought it's really good to have that in someone who's creating a product. You know who they are, you know that their product is honest, because this is the person who Richard is, and he's open, and he's there to tell you what it's all about, and he's not going to lie to you. He's not going to be deceitful. And as I grew to like him a lot more because of that, I thought this product definitely is something worth checking into because of that. And he's all about the improving things. So he's trying to cuss less, which, who cares if he's cursing a lot? That's not that big of a deal, but for some people that could be a off-putting. But he's trying to improve that. And so to me, Richard Hart has been an amazing investment advice person for me, a go-to. Any kind of monetary understanding, he's spot on, and he's understood it. And the technicalities and the understanding of crypto has been amazing. So he's definitely someone that I say, hey, if you want to learn about Hex or Pulse, check out Richard Hart's streams first, because he's going to understand what's going on. There's things that he'll admit that he needs to improve on, and that's what's great about him as well. So Richard Hart, to me, if I was to summarize it, is definitely the guru of crypto advice and financial advice. And because of that, there's a lot of other things that I love hearing about, improvement and things that he has. So I've been going back and listening to some of his streams on the Hex, I think it's Hex stream or whatever it is. So going way back and listening to some of the things I disagree with. It'd be great if he was more into the entheogens or the psychedelics a little bit. I understand his perspective on that he doesn't feel like he needs to change anything, and so maybe at some future point he'll look at that and change his mind on things like that. But there's a lot of things I do agree with, so it's great. He'd be great to get him in contact with a Paul Wheaton or a Jack Spirko or one of these permaculturists, Mark Shepard's, to just talk about permaculture and the natural world or things like that, or any other herbalists or things like that, to see kind of his perspective on that as well. So that's my thing.
Well, Hex Dragon might be able to get Mark Shepard on this show, right, Hex Dragon? Maybe?
Yep.
Possibly?
I would say so.
He's a cool dude. It'd be great to visit his location.
He's personal friends with him.
Sweet.
Rogue, have you been thinking about formulating some sort of field trip to any place?
Yeah, so there is a farm, a cannabis farm up in near Portland that I have a friend that is running up there, that I was thinking it'd be nice to take a little Cessna or a little plane, fly into the airstrip there that person has. And then while up in the Portland area, it would be great to maybe hit the Paul Wheaton area. Or something like that. But I don't know about organizing anything, but certainly on board to help and support if that was something the Hex Foodies group wanted to do.
All right. So who is Richard Hart to me? He's a teacher. He is another person that I've connected with mentally online, and he's a peg in the ground for me to learn from. I'm following his guidance. I'm like a fox, checking the forest out, being a little bit weary, but my goodness, has this ever worked out? And it's not that I don't believe in it, in the mathematics that's involved. It's just you don't know what you don't know. There's a lot out there, and Richard has had resources at his fingertips to be able to make judgments for us, and we're able to learn from him. And so I'm thankful for the internet, and I'm thankful for other loving human beings on this earth. Go for it, Dragon.
So Richard is integrous, inspiring, and I believe he's improving. The last one I would love to see more of. It's very easy. You enter a guru-like position to think that you've progressed enough. You're happy with where you're at, and that's stagnation. And one thing I learned through Tantra is that there's so much more we don't know, and a lot of it's really magical. And I catch myself thinking like, oh yeah, I feel like I'm a master at this. Something turns my world upside down. And that happened last week. So I think Richard Hart is a world shaker. He's the potential of something that I think we've all seen, which is crypto has the potential to change the world, but unfortunately the old paradigm got a grasp or hold of it and made it something kind of shitty. And he's like, there's a lot of potential here, and he's made a product that's integrity that can change the world. And to the extent that happens will really depend on the community, on us. But I see him as a community leader. Ideally, I would say a teal consciousness community leader, because he's not telling us what to do, what not to do. He's not at the top, so to speak. He naturally is in what he's created, but he's done that through earning our respect, not because he built a pyramid that he put himself on top of. And those are reasons why I have so much respect for him. For a while, I also saw him as potentially his own biggest threat. But I think that people can find that level of truth refreshing in an era where we have a lot of nice guys. And we don't need nice guys. We don't need people who lie to tell us what we want to hear. We need people who tell us how it is and to let us come to our own decisions. So I like that he triggers people. One of my roles is triggering people also, so I can relate to that, because when you get triggered, that means there's conditioning and something to look at. So he's really good at challenging your beliefs, and he's very generous with his time and the information that he shares with us. So he's my favorite billionaire, or billionaire, or millionaire, whatever. He's all of those, I think. So he is someone that I would actually consider a role model, and I don't have many of those. But I don't put him on a pedestal either. He's very human, and I love that he shows us his humanity. And that when he makes mistakes, he's open to it. So yeah, he's somebody who can learn a lot from. And I'm very grateful for what he's doing out there. And I think he has a lot more potential that he hasn't tapped into yet, such as what we're talking about. If we had more billionaires who are buying large tracts of land to create these regenerative bodies, we could very quickly start transforming the planet and profitably doing so. So I hope that will inspire him, and will inspire action, and his connections can inspire others. So yeah, I think he's inspirational, integrous, and improving.
Yeah, I always judge a person's character by their capables of recognizing when they're wrong, and they don't just continue to push on with the path of being wrong. That's when I, of course, can tell that somebody shouldn't be a leader. But Richard Hart has really been a good person, mentor. Yeah, mentor. So I'd like to push us into our next section, but right before that, I'd like to tell everyone that we are HEX Foodies on YouTube, Facebook, Telegram. Telegram chat is where we formulate all of our understandings of how we're going to work together and communicate. So please come out and join us. To prove it to you that anyone can come out here and be a part of the stream, I've got the live stream link put down in YouTube right there, and I'm inviting everyone. And Finbear, who is over there in Finland, it's about 8:45 right now, I believe, in Finland. He wasn't able to join us because he's onboarding somebody, so good for him. And then he just gives us the good feeling that he's spammed out everything, like what Hex Ray Vision did last time, and we got so many views. We got 85 views as of yesterday on our last YouTube. I think that's successful, and I'm loving where this thing is going. So I wonder, are we able to have a show and tell? Did y'all bring a tool or a household item or something like that quite possibly other Hexicans would be like, oh yeah, I could use that in my life, and oh, I hadn't thought about that, or I'm interested in getting into this certain something soon. How should I start? Did y'all bring anything to show and tell today?
I brought something.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Now, by the way, I can't check the chat on my phone. I tried to check it last time and it kicked me out of the stream because I don't know how to run this.
We've got Finbear and myself adding to the YouTube comments, and that's it. Are you talking about private chat, or are you talking about?
Yeah, I think the private chat.
Oh, okay. Private chat. There's nothing there.
Okay. If I'm doing anything that needs correcting, let me know.
Okay.
So this is my tool. I bring it with me everywhere. It's a hori hori.
Okay.
It does look like a knife. So it's a Japanese term for hori hori, which is basically a garden tool. It's a hybrid cross between maybe a spade or a garden shovel and a knife. So what it's used for is digging in the roots. So a lot of root vegetables or different herbalists will gather the roots or dig deep into the ground. And so when you want to dig up the ground and gather roots without using your hands or something like that, hori hori, check it out. It's a permaculturist's best friend.
Cool. Add that to our Amazon share. Hori hori.
Yeah. Let's see. Where would I search for that? On just Amazon, or should I look up a specific website that you got it from?
Amazon would be fine. You could probably forge your own if you had any kind of equipment to do that. Make your own if you can make knives. But just look up hori hori, HORI, and then that spelling again, hori hori.
All right.
I'm visiting a friend, so my intention was, if I was at home, to show you all some robots I've built, specifically 3D printers and CNC routers. I use them to make almost everything I need. The one tool I don't have, my application is a laser cutter. But yeah, I believe in having the means of production and being self-sufficient. So, and I like automation too.
Yeah, totally.
You were talking about a laser printer, or
laser. So the laser that can cut through metal, wood, different stuff like that, and it's controlled by it's a Cartesian coordinate system. So you have your X, Y, and Z axis that move the laser around, and it'll cut out what you want. So I have the intention of probably not next year, but I used to make functional wall art, and I'll show you some next time. But basically, it's stacked wood that goes on your wall that you can take off and become furniture. And I have some designs for making some really cool stuff with Hex and Pulse.
Nice.
You say functional wall art, so you put it on the wall and then you take it off when you need to use it?
it's art on the wall, and then you can turn it into furniture. So it transforms into something useful.
So tell us of like your favorite project with your laser cutter.
I guess I've made some sacred geometry sitting desks. So they're again, it's a desk and wall. You take it off, legs open up, sit it down. You can work on it with your computer, whatever you want. Really simple, but really beautiful. And yeah, so that's one of them. I did one project, which was actually a dining set. So it was a very large piece of art on your wall, and you pull out the table, which would come down, and then there were folding chairs behind it, and they're all like puzzle pieces. So it was one continuous pattern, and when you open it up, they like carried on that pattern, which you used. So I'll show you all pictures next time. It is really cool stuff. Very time consuming, but it's how I like to express myself is through being creative with.
That's awesome. Thank you. Let's see. My show and tell will be my moleskins. I love the little notebooks that have the leather bound on the outside and then a little elastic band that goes around it. So here's an example of my daily planner. Elastic band. There's a pocket in the back area for you to store notes. I cut that open for easier access over here. And so this is a daily planner, and you can get them in different ways, different layouts. And so mine currently has 7 days a week on one side, and on the other side it's got just lined paper so that you can write your notes. And so I come from let's see, I had architecture education, so we diligently learned how we wanted to lay out information for others to read later. And so often you're working with grid formats or different line techniques to and lettering and sizes of lettering and the darkness versus the lightness of the lettering in order to give people information about how important certain things are. But I extend my note-taking into just pieces of paper and then go and shove them in these books. Moleskin also allows you to purchase all different types of papers that are bound, either hard bound or soft bound. And so this one here is trying to get me to watercolor more often. And so I've got watercolor paper inside here. You see how it's more stiff.
Bring that up on the Amazon link. Can you get those on Amazon?
Yeah, so my hands are kind of like only so fast, but yeah, I'm about to put that up on. I recommend moleskin.uk or moleskin.us so that you're not confused in the weeds of all the Amazon description stuff, because they want to sell you something and not necessarily is it specifically what you want. So you might get tricked while you're trying to maneuver through stuff, because I like my daily planner to be red or a unique color, while most of the time they'll only come in black. So let's
Hex Dragon and Eco, you both are definitely more creative and artistic. That's really excellent.
I use this plan. It's really cool. Get these at
your screen was frozen for a little bit. Did you put a pin up there?
No, this is my planner.
This is your planner. Okay, that's a pretty big planner. It's like a full-size piece of paper, right?
Yeah, well, it's actually more of my journal notebook kind of thing. But This brand you can get at Barnes and Noble. It's really high quality. I really like them. Peter Popper is the creator of these.
Who is the popular stoicist that talks about journaling? I know in just a stoic idea is journaling and writing things down, but there's a popular one out there that kind of goes over daily writings and journaling and keeping track of your thoughts. Can't remember his name.
I'm not sure, but I've done dream journals. I've done all sorts of things.
That is a really important thing. I'm working back into again is more journaling, more writing by hand. Your memory's better, right? You type.
So
yeah, it's
I believe the moleskin stuff. The story behind it is that Leonardo da Vinci had leather-bound notebooks. I've actually left a leather-bound moleskin almost this size. It was basically the size of a piece of paper. I left it on the parapet of a building's patio. So like at the very top of the wall of a building, there's this rooftop bar. And for some reason, I placed my notebook on the top of that wall out there on the patio. And the next morning, I went over there to retrieve it, and it had rained that entire night, and I had no water damage to my notebook. It was amazing. And on top of that, nobody stole it or misplaced it or anything like that. No one saw it was there. So I was a very lucky situation. If you ever have a notebook and you're bringing it out in public and stuff, right inside the front portion, put the information to get a hold of you, like maybe just your email address, and then say the reward will be karma. And I'm pretty sure it'll come back to you, because it's like trying to sell HEX to somebody. Like, people don't get it until they get it, you know, like this thing means so much to me. It's a lot of money, or it's worth a lot of money to me. And yeah,
There's
think
intrinsic value.
I think that that would be a great move. You wouldn't need to put anything more than an email address. And I have had mine come back to me in that way. That guy wanted that karma, and I hope he got that karma. So if y'all don't have anything to add to our notebook conversation, it's about time to wrap it up. And I'm really excited about the quality that we've had on this live stream. If you want to join us, it's HEX Foodies at Telegram group. Come on and be a part of it. We've got maybe 45 members right now.
Yeah,
go ahead.
All right, great conversation. Looking forward to next week.
Yeah, so we'll figure out what we're going to talk about next week in the chat. And thank you guys so much for making the time to come out. This has been very pleasant, and I hope the weather profits you for the next week until we see each other again.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I'd like to say, everybody's recommendations for topics, please put them in the Telegram group, and we'll definitely consider that.
Yeah, please do. The idea that I had for show and tell was because Togo mentioned it while we were camping. You know, how is it that we start our journey as wealthy, back to the land, back to the human body, creating a new system to surpass our old system. Thank you, guys.
Love and peace.